chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program. Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Hey, Ben.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
But before I head into the promotional part of the next two segments, Twin Cities Live happened to be at like some Sunshine Factory or Mystic Lake Casino or like somewhere today.
Sunshine Factory. You're correct.
Today?
No. We were there
right
2 weeks ago.
But are you anywhere today?
No. Half of our crew is at the home opener.
Okay. And you are at studio.
At studio, yeah.
All right, 3-2. Welcome back to 9 to Noon. Ben Leber joins us now, as he is wont to do weekly, at Nacho Leber via the X Machine. He is Ben Leber. You can watch him on Twin Cities Live today. The Captain! 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5. 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5, TCL. Yeah, you know we. And now we're down to 3 weeks before the National Football League draft. You can go ahead and get here any day now. This one is uniquely exciting because of the quarterbacks and 2 first-round picks. Would you agree with all that? And it's great seeing you.
Yeah, I am. It's especially fun because it's the most important position in football, and a lot of people would say in any sport. And we're actually in that sandbox for once. And I would say it's making the preparation for our show that's going to be on Thursday night at US Bank Stadium, which I cannot wait for, on draft night. It's making the preparation just a little bit easier. You know, in years past, it's like, all right, let's do a little bit of a deep dive so I know what these players look like, maybe the top 5 players at 3 different positions, 4 different positions, on what we could be doing. That's a little bit more difficult, you know, and then all the while you're still, because you want to feel like you know what you're talking about. Quarterbacks every year are always the A topic. So you're always doing the prep on the quarterbacks anyway, along with that other stuff. Well, really for us, it's like, okay, I'll do a deep dive in some of the defensive tackles and quarterback. I mean, that's the only way I see the first round going, whether we keep with 1 pick or we have the 2.
Right. Now the building. Thousands of people at US Bank Stadium, and then 1 hour from now, with the talkbacks that we will unfurl at FM 100.3 KFAN and the 9 to Noon Love Covenant, we have tickets to the Miller Lite Draft Party, so there will be thousands of people there. If we get through, say, pick 5, NFL Network screens behind us, yours truly, Ben Leber, Pete Bursich, Paul Charchian on the big stage. Gabe Henderson wondering, let me get this straight. I told everybody they take Jordan Addison 3 weeks before the draft last year and did the same thing draft day. And I can't even get up here on the main table.
Good golly.
But I will deal with that in 3 weeks. If they get through pick 5 and there's no trade, what's the building going to be like? What's the building going to be like, Nacho?
Tense.
You excited then?
It's going to be real tense.
Right. And you're looking at me like I just donned a Sean Merriman game worn.
Good golly.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, you know, it'll be really interesting to see how those picks plan out, and if everybody stays the same at 5, there's no movement from anybody, and then I don't know. Honestly, at this point in time, I don't know. Given the scenario you just dropped on me, I don't know if we actually do move up. You know, I don't know if we actually make a play to move up. You know, why not just wait 6 more selections, see what quarterback possibly is there. And then, you know, because we have thrown out every hypothetical, we've thrown out every scenario where we've gone from plan A down to plan D. The possibility exists that if that's the case, then maybe you go best defensive tackle, best edge rusher at 11, and then you keep your options open on how the board slides. What do you do at 23? Do you feel like you've got to move up a few spots to maybe get the quarterback that you want? Or maybe you feel like at 23, everybody's already made their quarterback selections, and you end up getting what hopefully you think is your guy at 23.
Right. Now, if they let's discuss heading under the assumption they get a quarterback out of the first 5 picks of the draft. Okay? Say the Vikings do. And 11 and 27, or 11 and 23 for sure. So first rounder next year, whatever, we'll deal with that if it happens. So no first round picks. And, then, so you get the quarterback like you just discussed. And now you still have no picks in rounds 2 or 3. Like, what do you do on Friday? I mean, okay, you got the quarterback. Need a pass rushing 3 technique. Probably need a corner for Shaq Griffin or Byron Murphy to raise with Durante Jones and Beefalo. A guard. I mean, is this the land of 10,000 guard needs? Who knows?
Right.
But you got the quarterback.
Yeah.
Would that be like the approach if it worked that way? Because I think they'd find a way into the end of round 3, maybe on Friday. I think they'd find their way to a Friday pick, but maybe not.
No, I think that it's going to be really hard to sit on your hands on for rounds 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. It seems right that they would leverage some of their later picks, however it works out, and try to get back into the 3rd round. That makes the most sense to me because of all the things that you've talked about. We still need to find a starting left guard. We still need to find somebody that can help up front, pass rushing wise, from a 3 technique standpoint, plus an edge type of guy. And then, we could use another corner out there. So we have other needs, like other teams have other needs, but we feel, I think, a little bit more desperate to get in that top 3 rounds with 2 selections. You're going to feel really comfortable. And I think that we're all going to be very happy that if we can leverage our 2 first rounders, go up, get the quarterback that they've been targeting this whole offseason, everybody's going to feel so good about that. But I think we go from an A draft to an A+ draft if we can get another one of our needs in the top 3 rounds. So
there's this guy I met at the Combine a couple of years ago from the Houston Texans radio network. His name is John Harris, and he has a draft website. He's for me, he's non-obvious elite draft mind, but he's non-obvious with footballtakeover.com. It's like a friend of mine that I have out West Coast way, where he follows college football from a certain angle very, very, very closely. And my man has dropped probably 5 predictions on me over the last 9 to 11 years. And 4 of those 5 predictions have come to fruition. And he was the one earlier this year who told me, and I don't know how he knows, but the guy, I'm racetrack raised. If you tout me 5 times and you hit 4, I'm betting number 6 in the blind. And that's the end of the story. That's my man who told me Sean Payton loves J.J. McCarthy. So then I spent like 25 seconds discussing it on KFAN and didn't even put it on Twitter. Somebody else gravy trained to put it on Twitter. I'm at the Combine now, all of a sudden meeting with Broncos scouts.
I always love that.
Where'd you get that? Like, I'm going to tell you. And you don't even know who the guy is anyway. But anyway, Peyton, JJ, so like these crumbs and these things that start to come to us and the discernment and deciphering with lines of delineation. What is right? What is wrong? What hits the heart well? What gets stuck in the mind? What is subterfuge in subterfuge season? And did this Eagle just really drop some valuable knowledge that's going to help us on draft night? Of late, this morning, John Harris. He's the Ben Leber to a certain extent for the Houston Texans. He's sideline reporter, sideline analyst, but he has a college football website called footballtakeover.com. Jaden Daniels. Well, this is the guy last year who, they had me on Texans radio at the Combine.
Yeah.
They asked me about the draft. And I'm like, I just don't watch college football a ton. Here's what I've heard about Will Levis. He took me deep 4 different ways, and he was right on every single one. And then he daggered it with, for my taste, C.J. Stroud is the best quarterback in the draft, and it's not even close. I'm like, hey, end of February? Wow. And he was right. And he told, and there was a receiver that got deep draft, or a defensive player that he nailed also that the Texans did not get. So earlier today with Jaden Daniels, I'm like, because the Texans right now have everything and the world has nothing. Every day they're doing something that matters. Okay, Diggs, mercurial, enigmatic. He'll scream at C.J. Stroud, and then they'll hug 5 minutes later. It's very emotional. But they have him, and he's good. Stephon Diggs, don't leave home without him. D'Amico splashes every 2 minutes. They get C.J. Stroud, and they were right. And then a minute after, they trade this grandiose trade. And here comes Will Anderson. Mm-hmm. And they're playing so fast right now. They're seeing it so clearly right now. They even opted to pluck the punter from the Champs.
I always love that.
Tommy Townsend, and who's good, being like, we know you don't punt that much, but you know what? When this guy does punt, he's unbelievable. So we're just going to go ahead and take him from you. They're playing fast right now down Houston way. John Harris has a lot to do with it. On Jaden Daniels, he said, if it's 11-23 and next year's first round pick and it's Jaden Daniels, I'm in 10 out of 10 times in a KOC offense, and here's why. He throws, he's watched all of his snaps from all of his games. His slot fade, I'm up here being like Drake May is the best pocket passing quarterback in the draft, in my opinion. And it's not my opinion. It's the opinion of somebody who knows more about it than me, not around here, around the league, and I trust them. So I roll with it. But my man watches it, and he's like, Daniel's slot fades are unbelievable. And go ahead and single Addison or Jefferson, and he's going to slot fade you to death if you have the wrong guy on one of those receivers, because he's just that good with that individual pass. You take it away, then he runs for 1,100 yards. So I'm like coming into the nacho segments thinking, all right, I got May, McCarthy, May. Jaden's kind of a distant third here for me. Is he a distant third for you? Is he your favorite? Jaden Daniels and slot fade terrorism. What do you think?
Well, not for. I would disagree with for this offense. I don't think that he's tailor-made for KOC.
I completely agree, but I didn't want to argue with somebody taking time out of their day to join the Covenant.
Sure. I think that he's a phenomenal talent. Mm-hmm. I think that he is, in this modern NFL, going to be very successful given the right coach and the right system and the right flexibility to kind of be his own player. And I just don't think that that's exactly what they're looking for with KOC. We've talked about it a lot of times. I think KOC wants a true pocket passer that can run play action, that can take a snap from under center, is very comfortable turning his back to the defense for said play fake, whipping his head and body around with good mechanics, deciphering what the defense just showed off that play action versus what you saw pre-snap, process quickly, and get the ball out deeply and accurately. Those are the two things that he wants to see. I don't think that you're going to get that with Jaden Daniels in this offense. I don't know if you're going to get that from, some of the other quarterbacks, which is why I think they've kind of singled out McCarthy probably is the number one guy because he ran a similar offense, not to the frequency, but a similar offense to Michigan. That's why they like Drake May, because he is more comfortable in the pocket, maybe not doing all the same things. And I don't know where they stand on, Penix or Bo Nix, but to move up in the draft, it seems like those two guys that they're willing to move up for. I think Jaden's going to be a phenomenal talent. I just don't think in this offense he's going to fit.
That was so poignant, eloquent, and telling. I think fill-in producer Max Fuller wet his pants.
Hardcore football.
So now let's play off that with, I just don't think Jaden Daniels in this type of offense with what Kevin O'Connell requires is necessarily the best fit of the four, let's say three, and take Caleb Williams out of it. And I would happen to agree with you. So let me press you on this. The adaptation of our coach. The passing offense is the bomb. When all the complements are there, even with injuries on the offensive line, when the skill complements are there and the right quarterback's there, the passing offense is absolutely the bomb and one of the best in the NFL. Yes or no? Would you agree?
Yes.
What would you like to see develop with Kevin O'Connell in his third year leading the charge? A professional maturation, adaptation, spreading the metaphorical wings. What hit you?
I think we've talked about this time and time again. I think
we have.
Well, it's the run game.
Oh,
I think that his adaptation and what she's talked about many times in our post-game press conference, our post-game sit-down together, where, game got away from me a little bit, should have used the run a little bit more, situation this, circumstance that. Just in hindsight, wish we could have fed the ball. And some people will look at just the stats and say, well, there's this X percentage of run versus pass or pass versus run. Maybe we're not as bad as we think, but it's about how we use the running back in what situations of the game. And leaning on the running back a little bit more and maybe not being so telling with, okay, well, we've got Madison out there, so it's most likely going to be a run. Oh, we've got this guy subbing in, Cam Akers, when he's healthy. Oh, it's most likely going to be a pass. Like, I think we get a little bit too predictable in how we use our running back, which makes me really excited for Aaron Jones because he can be a guy that you can keep on the field for 3 downs. And he can be a guy that's deceptive. He can catch balls out of the backfield via the screen and otherwise. And we know that what we saw out of this offensive line, what we saw out of the actual play calling, Cam Akers' style was much better and fit much better than Madison's style. Aaron Jones has that same running style. Yep. He's a slasher. Yep. He has good vision. He's a little quicker twitch. He can break that initial tackle inside the run box. If we can get that sort of productivity and that sort of skill set in this offense, I think that's the next evolution.
Well, could the adaptation, evolution, or maturation also include different things with your quarterback and doing things on the move? I mean, I think it's interesting that, this Kubiak offense came in here, and now we're at training camp, and I think it was with you, and I'm watching it, not against a defense, just practicing with 11 players, and Bradbury sprinting out here, and O'Neal sprinting over there. And I'm like, damn, that thing is stylistically sound. I mean, it's like an orchestra for football when like a symphony when it's executed the right way. But when we roll up against Eddie Goldman, Akeem Hicks, and Kenny Clark, how are we going to move them on 4th and 1? So that was kind of an initial concern with that thing. But then they started playing the games. You know more about this than me. But the bootleg with Cousins, the boot with Kubiak and Stefanski was the bomb. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't see the bootleg like that much with O'Connell. And we know Cousins can do it, specifically booting right, planting, firing left. I mean, that was like a calling card there for a minute with Stefanski. So acquiescing, adapting, maturing, however you want to look at it, to getting quarterbacks to do different things outside of the pocket while still being a pocket guy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, that's why I think some of the things that we all evaluate looking at what KOC can do. Now, schematically, I hear what you're saying. I agree with you. I think that all of that's going to change because every one of these quarterbacks that we're talking about has more athletic ability than Kirk Cousins does. So there is more mobility. There's more frequency to get outside the pocket for those passes. Yep. But that's why I think the evaluation is so important. Is like when you guys at home are looking at highlights and if you have the ability to get extra film of games and stuff like that, and you're watching these quarterbacks, look at the quarterbacks that are accurate and can throw on the run outside the pocket.
Yeah.
And I think McCarthy does a great job of that.
I love it with him.
I think Bo Nix does a great job of that. And I think Michael Penix does a fantastic job of that.
Jeez.
And if you're talking about a deep ball, you're not just talking about a short intermediate throw on the run off platform. But if you still want to get the ball deep and still threaten deep, I think Penix has the best arm outside the pocket than any of those guys I just named.
Accurate too?
Super accurate. So I like.
Now you're messing the whole thing up, man. You're making us think about that.
I like those skill sets as well. Here's the other thing that I think that if we're going to talk about an evolution to a more mobile quarterback, mm-hmm. I think that you have to work in naked boots. Actual quarterback run game on short down on small distances. Got to have it 3rd and short, 4th and short. The only thing that we could do with Kirk Cousins, the only threat to him, which failed 2 times last year and a couple times in his career, just the regular quarterback sneak. Yeah. He could not do it. Yeah. Whether it was him, whether it's a combination of the offensive line getting hit back, whatever it was, that was our only threat for a quarterback run game. With these other guys and these rookies coming in, I don't care who it is, you have now the ability to call just a naked. Like, I'm just going to roll out and we're just going to run.
What's the difference between a naked bootleg?
Because there are no options.
Thank you.
It's like
that's it.
The only option is you just are basically taking the ball from under center, and it's basically a reverse pivot quarterback sweep.
Yep. So right-handed quarterback, fake the handoff, run out to his right, and you're running. There is no passing to it.
Everybody's just blocking.
Ooh, beautiful.
Yeah. And then if you want to mix in now you're getting like into option game, but if you want to mix in a trailing running back for the option for a possible pitch back, fine. You can get kind of creative with that. But as a defender, I know that when I was playing, the threat on 3rd and short and 4th and short of quarterback run game, it messes with you.
Yeah, right.
It keeps you a half a step slower of reading your keys, knowing that, okay, do I have to scrape outside for alley contain, or do I have to get down off tackle versus just concentrate on the A and the B gap for something inside? It all adds up. It's all layers to the offense.
Hardcore football.
Damn.
American rock duo The Black Keys are heading out on their international players tour, and you don't want to miss them when they take the stage at Target Center on Sunday, November 10th. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. For more info, head over to KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Ben Leber's request, next Wednesday when 9 to noon does the radio show from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. In order, I would expect Ziggy Wilf, Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, Ryan Grigson, Jamal Stevenson, Justin Jefferson, and our new quarterback before he's drafted.
I always love that one.
That's Wednesdays at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center.
That's a decent lineup. It's okay.
The quarterback before he's drafted. I mean, it's like Nordo asked me last week, Friday with 2 rounds and no selections, what are they going to do? And I'm like, what are they going to do? They're going to parade the new quarterback out to the field house Friday night, forget about the freaking draft, and have me and Nacho there talking to the life changer, talking to the new quarterback with people there. And there's so many bountiful opportunities.
It's a cool concept now that you bring that up.
Yeah.
How fun would it be? Just the short term. I know there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of responsibility and all that stuff that come with it.
Sam just added Jordan Addison next Wednesday because you were disappointed with the set list yesterday. Okay. Well, Sam, that's 10 guests. I only have 9 segments. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Whoever the drafted quarterback is going to be, whether you're at, 11, 4, 3, 23, whatever. You know that Air Ziggy's coming to pick you up. How cool is that? Wherever you are, you could be, halfway across the country. You get the phone call from Kwesi. Hey, we're taking you. Congratulations. You're basically a franchise quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. And then within a few hours, Air Ziggy lands at the airport nearest you.
That's unbelievable.
You jump on Air Ziggy, you fly here.
Brad Childress picks you up and drives you to the facility.
I always love that one.
What a cool feeling, though, right?
Yeah.
All your parents are with you, girlfriend, whatever, and you're like, we're jumping on this little PJ and going to go to MSP Airport.
Probably St. Paul or Flying Cloud.
Sure, whatever.
I mean, it's not that I'm juiced into the PJ to the private jet scene, but
if they go to Flying Cloud,
I'll pick them up, take them to my house, give them black coffee, and talk shallow crosses.
Do they helicopter in and land on the practice field?
What do I look like? Brad Childress driving him to the facility?
That's baller right there. They got to do that.
Yeah. Well, just like last year. They drafted Jaron Hall. He got middle seat on United.
I always love that
he flew in.
Since I'm branding all these things right here on air, we have Air Ziggy, and then we have Ziggy One. Like Marine One. Right. Ziggy One. Ziggy One picks you up from Flying Cloud, choppers you over, lands on the practice field. That's first class.
So stupid question and probably
never.
Yes. Stupid because doesn't matter. You can track planes in the air. Okay, now say it's, flight status, or there are ways to track whatever.
Yeah, tail numbers, easy.
Tail numbers, thank you. Hey, do PJs, can you track them?
Yeah.
Wow. So who is starting the site that can probably...
Oh, no, the site's already up and running.
You're saying for like team planes that go places?
For celebrities, for anybody.
For what about for like...
If you have the tail number for Air Ziggy, you can track that thing wherever you want it.
But you got to get the tail number.
You got to get the tail number, which is public domain when they're flying. If it's hanging out at flying cloud and it's taxiing down the runway, and you know that's a private jet owned by the Wilfs, you just write down that tail number and put it in the app, and it'll tell you where it's going.
Hey Sam, I noticed Ziggy's Air Ziggy 1's tail number was in Ann Arbor, Michigan 2 days ago. What was he doing? Buying them all.
I always love that.
So real quick story. So when I was on spring break on just a couple weeks ago, we were in the Bahamas, and Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they vacationed on the same island during the same time.
What?
And so
those pictures I saw of them holding hands, walking, that's like your area?
We were
the bomb.
Yeah. So the whole time that they were traveling, my wife was able to track. She had a friend screenshot their plane. It left from Burbank, California. It had the flight path all the way down to the Bahamas, saying it landed at a certain time. That's Taylor Swift.
Did you see them?
No.
Right.
No.
Why not? If they're there at the same time.
They remain sort of secluded.
I got it.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing's, the way you've described it to me, the whole thing's secluded. I mean, it's like seclusion on top of seclusion.
If you want to be secluded, like there are many houses that are very private.
Yeah. Well, seriously, not that you can't, but I mean, with Kelce Swift Kelce Cash, they can buy 3 of those places and put like a temporary wall up.
They could put
that they'll take down in 2 weeks and just chill.
Yeah, they could put a border wall around that thing.
Right. Ben Leber at Nacho Leber, Twin Cities Live, 3 to 4:30 today. See our beloved Nachito on TV, where he does a really good job. The Bills traded Stephon Diggs to Houston. Texans have been making splashy plays, as we mentioned, since the minute D'Amico Ryans arrived. And they're on the Minnesota Vikings schedule this year for a game at U.S. Bank Stadium. Diggsy traded twice through 9 seasons. How'd that hit you when it happened?
I think everybody knew that he wanted out. He's been disgruntled in Buffalo probably the last 2 years. Don't really know why. I mean, I think that he led the league in targets and receptions the last 3 or 4 seasons.
Yep.
4 seasons he's been there. So he's getting the rock. He's having opportunities. He's had some drops himself. I mean, I know that he will never point that out that he's ever made a mistake in his life, but he's been the same guy that we've always known him to be. An ultra talented wide receiver, super twitched up, can make a lot of plays, but is just a giant headache to deal with.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest with you, I think this is a miss by the Texans. I don't think that he's the missing piece for them. They have. It seems like they've made all the right moves. It seems like the moves they've made really fall in line with character of guys too. C.J. Stroud, young, talented rookie quarterback, leading that team already. Seems like he has a great head on his shoulders. Tank Dell had an amazing year last year. They have all the things that I think you're looking for. Nico Collins is in the mix as well. And then you add Stephon Diggs. Where's he going to fit? I know that's ridiculous to say that. He can kind of fit anywhere.
Yeah.
But he wants to be number one guy.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way that you can look at the season they had last year and be like, okay, you automatically become wide receiver 1 and you're now the default leader of this group.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a bad mood chemistry wise for that locker room.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you, but don't you think D'Amico Ryans somehow had to get to Steph and be like dynamite, and we can deal with all of this, okay? Because it's an emotional game. But when things aren't going your way, the old not running your route trick, I mean, that can't happen. It happened far too frequently at the end of his Bills run where he was pouting and something would go the other way, so he knew it wasn't to his side. But guess what? Gabe Davis or Shakir, whatever, or whomever broke a tackle and it came back to his side. Then he had to start and it was too late. You know what I mean?
I don't think there would. You can have any conversation you want. You can have any conversation you want with any player in the offseason.
Yeah.
And, especially when he gets from cloudy Buffalo and he flies into sunny Houston, especially this time of year, he's going to be feeling great. He's going to feel wanted. You guys really want me. You guys really want me here.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Yeah.
There's going to be memes. There's going to be Instagrams. There's going to be all sorts of posts.
Yeah.
The love's going to be amazing.
Right.
He's going to sit down in front of D'Amico and, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You got it. I'm your guy. I'm going to do everything right. Dude, he's got the Antonio Brown syndrome. Like I don't think there's no changing him. He is who he is. Like you can't sit down with him and have a meeting in the offseason and ask him to play nice, and then week 10 when he's pouting and flipping over Gatorade tables in the locker room because he's mad about something, like that's not going to fly, man. Like you can't then like have that comment like, "Hey, remember April when we sat down and you were, hey, happy-go-lucky, things are great." Where's that guy? Yeah, that guy exists when he wants to exist.
Right.
You got to deal with the other this Jekyll part of me. I can be Dr. Hyde for sure, but there's also this part of me that you have to accept. I don't have to change. You've got to. He's what, 8 years in the league? 9 years in the league. He ain't changing his stripes.
Do you think the miracle changed him?
No, I think he's been who he has always been.
Because the miracle was so polarizing. Now we got a Geico commercial. I mean, so things blew up to a different level.
Sure.
And I just wonder how that impacted the mindset and or the heart of the young man.
I think that it maybe elevated a little bit, exacerbated maybe that part of his personality. But look, from everything that I've heard, the draft process itself, there were red flags about his character back then at Maryland.
Really?
The reason why he didn't go in the first round, everybody was like, this dude's a first-round talent.
I think he had some spleen problem, too, at the end of his collegiate run that helped him drop.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he had ruptured spleen or like missed games or something like that.
I heard it was all character issues.
You might be right.
I heard it was personality and character. And they're like, we don't need to deal with this guy. And, I think the undersized bit also didn't help him either, but he's proven, and, not just him, but other guys have proven that's not necessarily an issue anymore.
And despite what happened with the miracle and the Utah rookie, Marcus Williams, making the mistake, I've never been the biggest fan of Stephen 50-50 balls. You know what I mean? You just don't chuck that sideline thing up to him the way you do some others, even including a more diminutive Tyreek Hill, who's just uses his body a different way, and his leaping abilities unbelievable. I want to close with this. From @Nacho Leber, that's Ben Lieber's Twitter handle, or as the kids call it, X. Former general manager Mike Tannenbaum tweeted, if he ran the Arizona Cardinals, he'd draft J.J. McCarthy and trade Kyler Murray to the Vikings.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
I thought it was a joke.
So did I. And I had to look, are there two M's at the end of this Tannenbaum? Am I getting bit by like some fake Shefty thing or whatever? But he was stone cold serious, Yeah,
I feel like that was a really, really misguided take. And I believe he said it on TV too, and then just doubled down on social media that's his take.
Yeah,
I think it's stupid. I think it's ill-informed.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're looking at it from a circular pattern here, where like you got to have. Everybody thinks even in this situation with the Vikings, we'll just trade up to 3. We'll just trade up to 4. It's not that easy,
right?
You can't just arbitrarily say like, "Hey, we're going to pull this lever and we're going to trade our pick." Well, to who, and are they willing to trade?
Right.
In this situation,
so Kwesi knows the only chance without a sneaky handshake, and like Ben Gessling, who covers the team for the Strib Tuesday, I'm like, you think there's some kind of a hand like that? Like they did this because they know it's 92% certain this, and he's like, no. But the only chance you have to do it is to have those two first.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got to pre-plan and you got to prepare for what ammunition. I mean, there's historical perspective. They know the values of moving up that many spots, and so they're like, okay, the value to move up that many spots is getting another first round compensation somewhere in the 20s. To move up and get, plus next year. Like they've all figured that it's a mathematical situation. They figured it all. He's an analytics guy.
Right.
Going back to Tannenbaum, to think to think that we would want Kyler Murray and his contract. Like, where you don't just get to like spout off whatever you want to talk about without having. Do you know that we like him? Mm-hmm. Did you like? He didn't even back it up with, okay, I've heard some rumors.
Yep.
KOC really likes. He's secretly liked Kyler since college. Like, there wasn't any of that. It was just like, hey, I've got a landing spot that's going to work out great for the Cardinals. We're just going to go ahead and trade Kyler to the Minnesota Vikings. Because why? Because you saw on a sheet that the Vikings need a quarterback, and you just like, oh, that'll be a good landing spot for him. It was so dumb and ridiculous that I thought it was fake.
It was spitballing,
but it was real.
Just like you're real and you're authentic, and we thank you for your contribution. Watch Ben today, Channel 5, Twin Cities Live, 3 to 4:30 at Nacho Leber via Twitter. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Today is the Minnesota Twins home opener. They play the old Cleveland Guardians, and team president, longtime friend of mine, Dave St. Peter, joins us next.
Man.
Hey, David, how are you?
Paul Allen, good to be with you today. Happy opening day.
Likewise, Dave St. Peter, Twins president. I would like to begin with an apology, if you don't mind. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a fill-in producer here, Max Fuller, and I told him we're going to talk to the Twins president, and here's the phone number. So I apologize for him asking for Champions Club tickets for 10 games.
I always love that one.
But that was completely uncalled for in the initiation of the relationship. But anyway, welcome to the 9 to noon radio show. And with that home opener, David St. Peter at Twins Prez on the X machine. Cleveland here for a 3:10 first pitch at Target Field. Like Max said, the weather's beautiful. What energizes you about today, Mr. St. Peter?
Well, first of all, let's find a time to host you and Max down in the Champions Club during the 2024 season. We'll figure that out, okay, Max?
How about that?
Let's go.
And I did that top of the head. Wasn't even on the script, man, and we're going to a game.
Let's go. My boy PA.
So we're going to work on that. But
Thank you.
It's special. It's never gets old. It's exciting. We like our club a lot. It's one of 162, but it's always fun to get going before the home crowd. I know our players are excited about it, and it's festive, right? There's pageantry around the home opener that doesn't really exist any other game over the course of the regular season. It's a lot of fun for everybody.
When Mr. President, when you are privy to the schedule, all right, so you get the schedule, and then the public gets the schedule. When you're privy to it and you see the first two series are on the road, are you like, mother?
No, we actually asked the league to allow us to open on the road with the hopes that we get a little deeper into the spring, maybe a little bit into April, and with the hope that maybe the weather is a little more predictable. The reality of it is it's always a crapshoot this time of year. Mm-hmm. But we actually like opening on the road and then coming home the first week in April versus opening at home on the last week of March.
So that's the president of a team playing fast, recognizing we want to backload. We want to. Well, I could say that to you. We've known each other 20 years through Dark Star.
Yeah, I mean, if I had it my way, we'd open the season with a 12, 15-game road trip, right? And then we'd play fewer games in April at Target Field and more games in June, July, and August. But the reality of it is I think if you play on the road for 3 to 6 games, it's fine. We're 3-2 coming into today. And at the end of the day, one of these years we will open at home. It's happened in the history of Target Field. It's just I don't think it's a great idea to be playing baseball in Minnesota the last week in March. You're asking for trouble.
Dave St. Peter at Twins Prez via the X machine. Break up the Guardians for now, by the way. 6.5 runs per. I know marathon, not sprint, small sample size, but bear with me. 6.5 runs per game. It's like Jolton Joe Charbonneau has returned. The Twins counter with their best Pablo Lopez. Pablo, I mean, that's a stone cold stud right there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's turned into that. He's been really, really good, and obviously he seems to do well with the big stage, the big moments. He'll have another one of those today, taking the mound for the home opener. Cleveland's really good, Paul. We know they're going to pitch it They've got a lot of great arms in their starting rotation and in their pen. Their nemesis has been the ability to score runs, and as you said early on, that seems like they've taken some strides there. Jose Ramirez, arguably maybe the most underrated player in baseball. He is elite and really a fun guy to watch. I don't like watching him play the Twins, but I like watching him play baseball. He's really good. So we'll have our hands full here today with Cleveland. They're going to be a force all season. There's no doubt about it.
And David, too bad, let me be the 900th person to say this to you. Too bad about Royce Lewis and that quad, man.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? With the timing of it, opening day after the moment, that qualifies as a bad beat.
Yeah, it sucks. And, it sucks for Royce more than anybody else. He's got such a great attitude, and he's been through a lot. And he's still being tested, and I think he'll ultimately be better for it. The good news is he'll come back. It's not like he's out for the season. He'll be back. There's not really a timetable on it, but he's been a fast healer. He's markedly better today than he was, a few days ago. So I'll take that as a good sign. We're not going to rush him, but I think he'll be back, and he'll have a huge opportunity to impact this team. And I know the bond he's already created with our fans. So out of all of our guys getting introduced today before the game, Royce Lewis will probably get the biggest ovation. He's a superstar waiting to happen.
Dave St. Peter, what's new with Target Field this year? Like what sticks out?
Yeah, well, there's always a reimagination of the food and beverage scene here. I think probably the biggest thing that sticks out is we got a really cool partnership with Winnebago, and we ultimately kind of took this concept of the dock, and we created actually a pontoon out in right field that 12 lucky fans can purchase the opportunity to sit in every game, and it's going to have a cool vibe. There'll be home runs hit into the dock and into the pontoon, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun for people to see starting here this afternoon.
New partner. I'm glad you said this, Dave. But how has the new relationship with Thrivent, how is it going to benefit myriad charitable causes?
Well, it's a cool deal, not only because Thrivent is an entitlement partner of our club's level, but more importantly now they're going to work with the Twins to give away over the course of time over $1 million to nonprofits across the upper Midwest, and we're going to ultimately allow fans each and every game to vote on where these dollars should go to different charitable organizations across Twins territory. So that's a huge part of the deal, and hasn't really been done ever within Target Field. And I think it's going to be a really groundbreaking partnership. It's going to help a lot of kids and families and people in need across the region.
Dave, is baseball in Minnesota strong on the youth level? How would you qualify that?
Yeah, it is. Obviously it's a northern climate, right? So it's a limited season, but baseball's very strong on the youth level, and the numbers across the state, through, T-ball and probably through that little league level, upwards of age 12, those numbers remain very impressive. We obviously, like a lot of places in the country, deal with specialization and getting kids to choose baseball as their preferred sport. And ultimately, the high school baseball scene in the state's really strong. There's been a emergence of club baseball here like everywhere else. So, but yeah, this is a good baseball state. We see that with the amount of talent coming out of here each and every year, going to play at D1 or ultimately over at the University of Minnesota. But there's work to be done, Paul, but it's still a very strong baseball state.
Who won the charity softball game between the Twins and Ray's wives?
I think the Twins came out on top in that battle. If I'm not mistaken, I think we won the trophy. Yeah, I should have more details, but I think we won. Yeah. Who
knew we had 10 Jenny Finches just like running around the field playing Rover and everything. All right, time for two more. Off yesterday, small sample size, marathon, not sprint. How about old Alex Kirilloff against in-your-face Milwaukee? My man was 4 for 4 with a walk. Why do you deem him a valued member of the Covenant?
Well, I think AK, if you followed his career through the minor leagues, was probably the best hitter in our system. And I think people sometimes forget that. He's dealt with injuries at the big league level and hasn't really had a period of sustained success, mainly because of health. If we can keep this guy healthy, there's no question in my mind he could be a force, and I think you're starting to see that. And he's one of the keys, I think, for this club. I think we're going to score more runs, and one of the reasons I believe that is because of Alex Kirilloff. So, we're going to need more days like that. And this is a team that was built to score more runs and be better offensively, which go along with if we can pitch it pretty well in 4 out of 5 games we have. That's a recipe for success. But Alex is a huge part of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Lastly, Twins president Dave St. Peter, been the president for multiple decades, with the squad for over 3 decades. What if Buxton's average stays around 316 for the season? How amazing would that be?
Well, the amazing thing is just him playing and smiling and taking the post, virtually every day. But yeah, obviously Byron, he's demonstrated in his career he has the ability to hit for average. We know him as probably more of a power guy, and he's going to try to drive the ball and really more focused on probably OPS. But at the end of the day, he just makes our team better. Our one-loss record with Byron in the lineup is markedly different than when he's not. And, so far so good. I know he's feeling great, and he could not be more excited about playing center field and target field today for the first time in a really, really long time.
Anything else, Mr. President, we need to know about the home opener, target field, or the state of the squad?
We got some tickets available. People can still come down and be part of the festivities. We'd love to have them. And Cleveland in town then again Saturday, Sunday, and then Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and the circus known as the L.A. Dodgers comes to town on Monday, and that should be fun to see us square off against L.A. at Target Field starting Monday evening.
You think when the Dodgers did their opening day lineup at Chavez Ravine, I was watching it, they had Ohtani standing next to Betts.
I always love that.
You've got to be. Did they do that simply as a bit, or like?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Anyway, that's a conversation for a different time. Team presidents always love talking about gambling. Hey, tear it up today with Pablo, and I appreciate you, man. I'll see you soon.
All right, PA. Be well, man.
Yep. See you, brother. Dave St. Peter, president of the Minnesota Twins. Love that guy, man. Known him for quite some time. Met him through the late, great Dark Star, one of the great radio personalities in the history of Marconi's game in the Twin Cities in the upper Midwest. And DSP, he's got some salt of the earth to him. Final hour begins with our version of Sports Essentials. We call them meanderings when Max cracks the microphone. Then after that, those talkbacks for tickets to the Miller Lite draft party at US Bank Stadium. That's 3 weeks from today. What's the talkback situation? Or have you chronicled a bevy?
I've chronicled quite a few, PA. Lots of quarterback talk going on. We're quarterback crazy here in the Twin Cities, and that has not changed today.
Given we talk back and text more than people know, that'll take place at about 11:20. Into the final hour next on KFAN.